Good afternoon, good morning, Michelle. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with us, making time for us on an early Monday morning. Very, very, very happy to have you. What we'd like to do, we follow this format, and in the format, we will go a little bit in your background. You have a very unique background. You are a French person who is now living in India. I'm an Indian who lives not in France, unless, sadly, I live in America. But so there's definitely a story of what are you doing in India. So give us a little bit of history on that. So we'll go through your background, understand what brought you to where you are today. That story inspires us because then we can connect with you at a personal level and learn the business and the market of dairy from your lens. And then we'll progress to the present. So what are you doing now? And somewhere here, we'll also find enough stories to talk about what your future and your future in dairy and dairy in your future, all of that future looks like. So if you won't mind, please give us a little bit of background about yourself, how you started, and just which boat did you get on to sail to India? And how did that boat end up in India?
Good morning, Anup, and thank you for your confidence. So you will see, if I even speak about my childhood, that I'm a person of one only. My memory, when you ask me to be interviewed by you, my memory, and that you will speak about my childhood, what has come to my mind is all the play. I was living in a house next to the forest, next to little valleys. All my life was, we had also a garden of vegetables and fruit. All my life was made with good vegetables, good fruit, playing in the forest, collecting hazelnuts, mushrooms with my family, going all around. Any trees we found, there were some plant flowers that my father was collecting with my grandfather to put in our omelette, in our food. Ooh. I was living in that environment.
That's heaven. And you just described heaven.
It was.
Perfect. So how did you get from that wonderful heaven to the heaven you live in now?
I was not so keen in studying in the context that I was having, but for sure I was interested by art. In fact, in my house, you will see a piece of art all the time. I'm still there. And I wanted to go for that type of study against my parents' wishes, So at my age, at my time, like in India, you see, my cousin became an engineer, like all the members of the family. For a woman, it was not really what they were dreaming for. Art was also not the best for them, but I succeed and convinced them. And for me also, I wanted to leave the town. I have been so happy. So I chose Paris for studying, and the school of art I want to follow was only in Paris. I made a good choice. There were no other choice for my parents. So you see that I was already very clear in how I want to direct my life. And after 2 years, I realized that I will never be a curator, that it was not, my study were taking me to that. And it was not what I wanted. In fact, I wanted to be a collector with a lot of money, which I didn't have, of course. So I understood that I had to go for some other work to make the money to start collecting if I wanted.
How did you make it then from an interest in art and curation and collection to the business you are in today?
I was 23 when I left to the States, to Colombia, to adjust my knowledge in business, my wishes to work, to make money, and to become a.
So you come to Colombia, then where do you go next from Colombia?
Then I was recruited by the Schlumberger Group. Okay. I was in New York for 3 years, and Schlumberger, who was an oil servicing company, they recruited me. They were looking also for women to be introduced in the board of Schlumberger. Excellent. So I was having the profile, they wanted only woman having a passport with a lot of stamp, which I had, and Mexico, Europe, wherever I went. And then I was shocked because I said, okay, don't you want to have also some part of my knowledge? I did some internship. He said, no, it's okay. Stamp of your passport, and then we will tell you what we will do. They recruited me for 2 years, like any. That's where I met a lot of Indian people, because Indian engineers
were a lot of engineers, correct.
Yes, they were the really very important for the Schlumberger group. They were English speaking and well educated for technology and so on. I was between the two headquarters, New York and Paris. So I was traveling in both places at that time. Yeah. And I started traveling after 2 years of training in marketing, in finance department, in technique department. They have assigned me as a director international, but for Europe only. It was for the world after 2-3 years. So I was launching the program for renovation and or for construction. Sure. That time was really a blessing time. These 80s have been very, very good. So that's how I was exposed to art. I was in many boards with working with MoMA, with Pompidou Center president, and many people all over the world, buying from Africa, from north of South America, and that is how I start keeping art, and also then architecture, but also the socio-cultural, like making study on the way of living of people. We were very concerned for our recruitment to bring the knowledge of, we were 100 countries.
Right. So
we were very keen to have each country knowing the other countries we were working for. That's all.
So you were in art, you were in Schlumberger. I'm getting really curious now as how does dairy fit in all this?
Yes. Oh, it took me a long time. After Schlumberger, I went to Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
For the big cooperation program, including Festival of India to France. So I left after a year, and I was recruited. In fact, L'Oréal came to me for having the knowledge of culture for each of the country I was visiting then, or we were having, like the 48 I'm talking about. And I work with them. Then they had a gallery that I have helped to reshape the branch. They decided to resell without me. So I was on the floor. But then I decided that I didn't want anymore to be an employee.
Okay.
That no one will decide if I can continue or not. No one will decide how much money I will make. Yeah. I will decide.
Good for you.
So I create my own self-company in Paris, became a counselor for some investment, because my portfolio has been in investment in art as well as real estate, or at the time of Schlumberger and so on, and L'Oréal as well. In 2004, the bank told me, but I had worked with India for the Festival of India. I've traveled and stayed in India 3 months. And I came to know better. Like one of the first visits I did was Dr. Curien in Anand, because we want to know within the Festival of India what was the cooperative and so on. And right. Ribou, the chairman of Schlumberger, was married to an Indian woman. Okay. He introduced me to India. And I will never forget when Ribou went to visit Indira Gandhi, who was a friend of him. Of course, he went alone to the office, but I met the first IAS I met in my life.
Nice.
K. Misra, who's still a friend now. And I understood how it was working, the difference between the, we call the énarque of the French énarque and the French énarque, which are the IAS.
Correct.
So I understood their role. I met many after that. So I didn't see any difficulties, yes, to catch up from a country. Then that was my first My first visit to India, I was very enthusiastic. Even Ribu told me it's a very expensive flight ticket. If you don't like India, please come back. You just take 24 hours. It will take 24 hours anyway. And come back. You will have a job, don't worry. But don't stay. I stayed 3 months finally. And I went everywhere for 3 months. I slept sometime in the village. I decided to stay. You know, they have these VIP room when you are on the floor.
Yeah.
I stayed in the VIP room instead of doing 30 kilometers for going to a city and being in a 5-star hotel. So I saw the life of farmers. I saw the food of farmers. I saw all that morning kids giving me water because before they were going to school, to have my shower with from the water from the pump and so on. I've lived like that. That is, it was my choice also to understand better, to be able to speak about India for during the Festival of India to France. That is one part.
Lovely.
So when I was counselor for that Natexi bank, one day they called me and said, you see, it's very different what you will have to do. We have a company, it's a medium scale enterprise from all the dairy areas in Mayenne in France. They would like maybe to establish in China or India. They are hesitating. Why don't you go and visit them, even if it's not what you wish? So I went to visit them. And believe me or not, they were still the father. Now it's the son which are taking over. When I gave my resume to the father, he said, oh, Schlumberger, it's all my regret in life. I wanted to be an engineer of Schlumberger. And because of the war in Algeria, I could not join. And then I create my company. And the guy was having like a jewelry in what he has created, but he was still regretting not to have been recruited by Schlumberger. So, incredible. So I was very proud to see that, yes, my career was really given by that experience that could be recognized so easily. Right. So they asked me to make a survey and to help them. I told them that China was not a place for them, that really India was the world milk production. I didn't know nothing so much about dairy, so except my farmers' neighborhood. And then I came to India again went to see Amul, of course. And my way of working, having been often, the one asking the consultant to reply, I knew that I will never reply like the other consultant. Because when we recruit a consultant, we want him to know, for me, from my side, already to whom I'm going to sell my equipment. I don't need to have, of course, I want the market. I'm not saying that. But please introduce me to my client. So I will have feedback from him.
Yeah, correct.
And a relationship. That's what I did to Serap. So they were amazed to see that the first client I introduced were there. So I was not hiding anything. I was not, okay, here it is what you can do, it is what they are doing. So that time there were no milk scheme and nothing. They saw that the market was there, but not too early, because there were two players at that time, IDMC and De Laval, and not enough order. We would have come as a bad competitor. So Serap was clear that if they were coming as a competitor, they will be a fair competitor when there were enough market for 3 players. So we wait for another year. When it was BMVS at that time, and Mr. Sodi was already there also as a general manager. And BMVS told us, we are going to have a meal scheme now so the market will come, please come. also there, I decided that I should register the standard.
Yeah.
Because without registering the standard, they will buy anything and everything. I felt I had the feeling that it was without standard, must have been complicated.
Okay.
So BMVA said, okay, do it. And also I wanted to make sure that they will purchase our equipment, because without a real standard, I saw their tender, which was totally different than what we knew at Serap level. So I started working like that, and they accepted, which was great, because that has changed. I saw only a few years ago that when a dairy which is not producing milk is asking milk powder, they buy from Amul because they have the best milk.
Makes sense.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And probably also because they do a great work in providing services to their farmers and having veterinary and all that. But I believe that I have one part. So many other dairies have copied the standard because they were known, and
right.
Of course GCMMF was they were sharing it.
Because the industry grows, I think it benefits everybody if they use the same standard, because then the quality of the industry grows, don't you think?
Yes, this is my main subject.
Yeah,
my main subject is that how you're going to make more money, how you're going to make more milk, how you're going to have better quality with industry having standard.
Yeah, and I think the standard helps not just immediately. I think standard helps for decades to come.
Exactly. That's what we have in Europe. You know, when I saw that France for the third consecutive years is still the best producer for food processing, it's because we have put the standard in place that European Commission has adopted, and they have become international in many areas.
Yes, correct. And I even think, Michelle, I even think that if my competition uses the same standard that I do, it increases the quality of the overall industry, and it benefits everybody.
Yes, and so it was tough at the beginning. We were importing, and you see, then talking about standard and then certification and testing. I'll give you an example. We were importing at the beginning, so the importation tax were something like 51%. Just terrible. So we had to see our price. We were also, but still, GCMMF wanted to test our equipment, and they saw the difference immediately.
Right.
We train. We trained farmers, and we asked farmers their feedback. In fact, one day we saw that it was on the soap that was used for washing that was the problem, but they were happy, and we became leader very soon. After we start by entering India by importing, the aim was, of course, to implement a factory in India. I had convinced Serap that without manufacturing, and they saw step by step 51%. And anyway, we were not, that's why I work with them. They were not the type of people who wants to make a cheap equipment in one place to have it. It is not the family system. It's a family group. So then we start. You'll see the story. We start importing. After importing, we had purchased a land.
Yeah.
Before constructing a building, we wanted to know what we will manufacture in India. So we rented a place, a workshop in which we start assembling. So most of the equipment were coming from France, still the big BMC and so on. But we wanted at least the cooling system to be Indian. Then we start purchasing part for that in that sense. And we discovered that when our competitors used to say that they were 2A2, everyone was 2A2, you know, but there were no compressor of 2A2, meaning that our competitors were not 2A2.
Right.
We asked our usual, and see the story, how industry is working. We asked our usual suppliers of Europe, but can we have 2A2 in India? They said, no, India is not asking. So we met a very nice guy in Pune. I will never forget. I told him, would you like to, as you are doing what we want, would you like to be the one making 2A2 for India? He said, yes. So he put some money, he had to pay some transport. And we made the test in France, upgrade the equipment, and told him, now we're going to buy from you. And what we did to make sure that everyone will adopt, I will tell you the story. We didn't tell anybody that we were doing. We were said, okay, we assemble in India. So at that time, knowing that we were coming there, GCMMF start every other purchase tender, they were reducing the price. So one day, I remember I was in Banas, and they were reducing the price. And I said, no, this time, because I knew that I had the machine. I said, no, this time we will not reduce. So the chairman said, okay, I like you. I can buy two for you only from you. So I remember putting my shoes on my feet on the table, showing my shoes and said, look at my shoes. Are they new or old? You'll be surprised that they're very old. But I buy them expensive, and shoe repair is every 2 years, 20 euros. I'll do the same for my BMC.
Oh, that is so much fun.
So he was laughing, and when he came out from the board meeting, I said, will you allow me to test the BMC of the competitors and I when they will be installed? He said, yes. So we made the testing. Our test was 2.5 hours. The test of the competitor was
5 hours.
4.5. Much over. Normally it's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Much. So then the chairman called me and said, Michelle, what is happening? I said, I told you, shoe repair.
Shoe repair.
So then I explained to him, I said, 2A2 doesn't exist in India. It exists with one guy only. So tell them to buy from the guy to have the performance. Even with that, it was difficult for them to have it because there were many other. But you see how it is, how the industry functions. Even the French, it was not French, but German or anyway, European.
Right.
I'm not going to criticize a country whatsoever. And they didn't want to bring 2A2 to India because, oh no, there's not enough market. We don't do, which I can understand, and also I don't understand. They are now having it. They are all bringing 2A2, of course. And the young man, I'm talking from Pune, only 3 years ago, wrote a message on my Facebook page and said, Michelle, I became very rich thanks to you. I was very happy for him.
Of course.
So these are nice story of, but real story on what has happened, what we were going through.
Right. So now you are living in India. You are working in India. I would say you are very integrated in India. I was going to say in one shape or form, you are more Indian than I am. I live here. You live in India. So tell us about what has been your experience in working with the Indian dairy industry and the dairy business. What makes you happy and what makes you feel that there is so much more to be done?
So also, if I speak about my unhappiness of the past, I must say that only GCMMF has adopted for many years, has adopted the not only the standard, but they have a deeply way to work, which is really respecting farmers and consumer, I will say. They are respecting the chain with whatever they have in hands, even if they don't have all the standards and so on, that they're going to adopt on top of that. They are the most open people, and really they are the one which have kept this desire that the one who created, Dr. Curien, who created Amul, has made. And I feel sometimes very sad that his name is taken by the one who doesn't deserve to speak and to name him. Name him. I'm sorry, but we have that in France also. And so everyone is talking about Dr. Curien, but what have they done, and what are they doing? They bring junk even from abroad, because I can be very strong also with some European not respecting, just they think that because they are in India and there is no control, they can also do things without control. So I've seen in some Indian people also a resistance, let's say, to the progress mainly. And same, I'm sad when I see in Europe and in France, resistance of progress that I want to ignore. I'm very, really.
Right.
And then I'm happy with the one adopting the progress, because we're very lucky. Not only we can believe in God, but we have also the science to show to us that progress is made by science as well.
Of course.
Then we're so lucky. What a world. Our ancestors didn't get it, didn't have it. So everywhere you go, you have that. So I met so nice people in India, from farmers to of course, manager. You see, these guys that I've met with engineers when they were coming, joining Schlumberger, it's the same spirit. And I see here, my spirit is a spirit of pioneer. Correct. And they have that spirit often. They have, this is how I came to milk. Because yes, Schlumberger gave me, probably my parents also, they have given me that spirit of pioneer. You don't know, you're going to learn. They're going to teach you. You're going to learn from them, but also what you want, what you know, you're going to share it. You see, when we implement this 2A2, we didn't discuss saying, we need to have, this 2A2 is us and so on. No, we said, okay, all the dairy should adopt it. All the BMC manufacturers should adopt it. For anything, the BIS that registration also that is done now, all have to adopt it. Then we compete.
Correct, of course.
So the ambience where I work, I mean, it's always a great pleasure to meet. So the manager of a dairy at many levels, when they are progressist, and that we share for achieving, we share for solution. This is my aim. This is what I want. So I'm very specific to that. I'm happy to find them. When it is not, I'm very sad.
Right.
And, it's my role to convince. But as you see, for the standard, it took me 15 years, but I did it. After GCMMF registered the standard in 2006, BIS registered in 2019. It was 13 years of work from my side to have it adopted, thanks to Mrs. Badal, the Minister of Food Processing at that time. She was a very open mind. Twice I've been in her delegation. So also these IAS, these ENARC, as we say in France, they are champion. They are really doing the administration of India. Correct. And the governance has changed with Mr. Modi, and is much better than it has been earlier. So for working with them, like I 4 times have been from the delegation of Vibrant Gujarat to take them to France and introduce the agriculture equipment manufacturer to them and so on. And it was a great pleasure, because when you see that they wanted to do it for the country. Same you find, so I'm that type.
Very nice. So what are you now involved in, other than, this consulting and the work you're doing with the equipment manufacturers? What else are you doing in India now?
So still I am in there. First, one big project that I have is really to implement the standards for food processing, to have that India will be able to export also, to be the first big step is won. And you see that Mr. Sodhi is in the international institution. Then I would like to bring this for farmers as well. See, farmers are asking for it. So many times when we go to the field, they're asking us what they should do. They even come for green. They're afraid to use too many pesticides. And so we have quality of people at every level, of course. Huh? Yeah. And so my aim is that, and there are other companies than Serap that I'm doing incubation in cold chain mainly. See, cold chain is 70% of the food safety, and cold chain India is very weak.
Correct.
So I want to work on that and transfer know-how and technology to India for providing. It will take another 10 years, 15 years. Correct. But slowly they will make it because they need, and it's the country where you need cold chain. On top of that, what I have seen is that if you speak about bulk milk cooler that I'm working with Serap, we have, without having a proper cold chain system for cooling the milk, the germs are growing more in the dairy. Correct. In the BMC also, and then that's it's difficult to make good product, sophisticated product like they want to do if you have that. Correct. But not only that, is that you can't. It's changed everything. Like the delivery of milk has to be done every day. When Correct. In France we do it every 3 days now, we can keep the milk store for a long time because we have less germs. So I would like to bring also India in these terms of climate change to have that facility, and that will be really reducing the cost of milk production, and of course better revenue for farmers, for dairy, and better product for consumer as well. That is my dream.
Absolutely, and that's a country like India where production is so distributed and small scale. I am now able to connect with what you're saying, is that if the cold chain can move closer to the production, meaning the farmer, the milk stays high quality longer, and we can create quality products from that high quality milk. Whereas I think in the BMC bulk milk coolers, the milk is getting cooled almost close to souring point. So you've lost the characteristics and quality of the milk. No, that makes sense.
Yes, the first hour is really mandatory. If cold chain is 70% of safety food, 30% is also hygiene, training, all that.
Of course, yes.
Really, GCMMF and many other private dairies are doing it. So some have to be teach. It's talking about NDDB. I was disappointed by NDDB for a long time, and I hope that will change also, because there is a resistance to progress and to technology. Can you imagine that one day one of the CEO of or president of NDDB, to whom we were introducing some technology, she just said that it was too sophisticated for farmers. Couldn't believe that I heard that.
Correct. I mean, I would imagine that a country like India, which has, a billion and a quarter population, feeding and nourishing them is a very big challenge. I mean, I can't even put numbers on how big that problem is. And I think technologies like this go a long way in making sure everybody gets affordable nutrition.
Yes, and you see, at the beginning, I remember BMVI's convincing us. At the beginning, we were doubting because of the system. One farmer with 2-3 liters. What is that?
Correct.
And how is it going to happen that we have at the end? We were coming from Europe with our milk, and but we wanted to do it. We were not. We knew how was France, and this family, especially the who have created Serap. They are a family from farmers. They knew how it was for collecting milk when we had only a few cows in France. So, but we saw that what GCMMF is the way they train them, the way they bring awareness to them, and also that when the farm collecting the milk, the first hour, it's the most delicate hour, as you said, before you get milk spoil. So how they come and pour the milk, and how nice they are, how they understand, yes, that their life is there if they are on time, if they do properly what is requested. So it's manageable if you do that. And we have developed equipment with Serap for also remote farmers to continue with their clan and at least cool the first hour so that we can save that milk and less wastage. And any milk, buffalo, cow, camel, goat, whatsoever.
Donkey. Good. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and walking us through this. It's a thorough treat to be able to speak with somebody like you. Well, you and I have a few things in common. Of course, you spent time in Schlumberger. I didn't. My cousin worked in Schlumberger for 15 years in Houston and Paris. So I know Schlumberger very well. I didn't do any work with L'Oreal, so too bad. But and then, of course, now you work in technology and bringing closer to the farmer cold chain, which I think people understand it. They just don't grasp it. I mean, socially, everybody understands it, but they don't grasp it.
It's investment, but I'm also doing for fruit and vegetables. I'll do for all the production because it's of course the BMC is not required, but the cold chain room is also
usable there. Correct.
Yes, air treatment is our knowledge in France. We make wine. Thanks to air treatment, we knew how to handle before the technology came, and so that we make cheese because it's also air treatment.
Yeah,
we are the only country making a cheese with raw milk. Milk. So we don't pasteurize milk to make cheese. We are not suggesting many people to do it. It's very delicate, but we can do that. We have that challenge also.
Well, thank you very much for making time and speaking with us. We'll keep this relation. We'll invest in this relationship with you because I am envious of you that you're living in the country where I was born, and you are able to make this change happen in that country. So again, thank you very much for taking time and speaking with us.
Thank you for the time spent with you, and yes, I hope that within the next 10 years, I will make life better for farmers and having industry in a much higher level.
You, of course, do that.